Okay, I've got several kind of detailed wing leading edge skin videos already, but I thought I would just do another quick little thing. I'm just popping on some skins here on my latest build, and I had a couple of questions people had asked me. Still having problems, and I think maybe most people are overthinking it. So I just want to go real quickly again, just as while I'm kind of in the process here of just getting started on these skins. Now, the EX3 is what I'm talking about. And the EX3, the latest one, was the very first, I think all the EX3 kits, I think the EX2s did not come out pre-drilled. But all these rivet holes, you can see, are pre-drilled already. They're already here. So, again, the first thing that I've done is I like to take, and I'll show you in more detail in the other video, but I like to take just some 3/4 inch masking tape, and you see I just start on one end, and I just go down the very fronts of the nose ribs. I run one solid strip all the way down. You see here where it's crossing across the nose ribs where the light's going. You run it all the way down here, and just put it across the end, okay? And then I just, as I'm doing that, I don't worry about it. I just kind of straighten the nose ribs. Then I take this little square right here. You can take any square, but this one works good. Then I just go and I take this square and I put it down against the spar where I can, and so that the back side here is up against the back side of the nose rib, and then I move the front of the nose rib. I just move it back and forth, and when it's perfectly square, I just stick the tape to the end of the nose. See there, like that. I just take it and stick that to the end of the nose, and I keep moving, and then. No, I don't keep moving. Then I take, when it's nice and square, I stick it and it'll hold it while I turn loose. Then I take a little short piece of masking tape, and I actually didn't on this one because it's the first one, but you can see the next one. You can see here, there's a little piece I take, then I put it over the top and the bottom, and just right on the front of the nose rib, and I just stick it down just to hold it a little more firm. This usually holds it okay, but by putting a piece from here to here across it, it just kind of helps hold it a little more firm. And then I work my way all the way down the line, every nose rib, getting it perfectly straight and square, and then taped down, okay? Then just simply take your skins, and it tells you what calls out which call out there is. And you start on the outboard side. You don't have to worry about any measurements or anything. Back in the old days, before these were pre-drilled, see, they're even pre-drilled now. The latest one's toward that's going to go into the wingtip bow. So forget any measurements. You're not measuring anything. We went back first too, and we took a blue. I take a wide, whatever that is, medium they call it, or they gotta actually call it a fine point, but it's pretty wide still. And I make a center mark, and once you kind of know where the rivets are, I just kind of make a center mark here and a center mark here. And of course, you have to go on the back side underneath and do the same thing on the bottom of the nose ribs, at least where the rivet holes are, or it may be easier just to. And I just take this, and I don't put a ruler or whatever. I just take it and I put my fingers next to the edge of the rib, and then I take that to where it's about in the center like that. Then I lock it into my finger. See right here, and I just take it, and then that locks it in. Then you just run right down the middle. Just like that. And that's what I do. And I make it nice and wide, plenty wide. If you get over to one side and it's more to the center, put you another mark. Because all we want to do is to be able to identify that we're close to the center of the rib where we want to drill. Okay. So you can see how that did. So we're doing this down each nose rib, top and bottom. Okay. And the first, on the EX2s, all the skins are like this, where they don't go all the way around and wrap around the back of the spar, okay? But on the EX3, only the outboard skin is like that. The rest of them are solid. You see, so they're gonna wrap, and see this goes all the way around. We'll wrap around the spar, and we're gonna drill into those too. So then what I do is, you see I've got one clamp. I just put that on here, but I haven't done anything with it yet. So before the clamp's on or anything else, I just take the first skin, and you see I take a couple clamps like that, just spring clamps, and I pull this skin. I make it up flush against the spar, where it's flush this way. Then I want it flush with the bottom. So, excuse me. For right now, this is fine. That's clamped to the bottom of the spar into here, so it's holding it in place, 2 places. And of course, I don't clamp it until I got it lined up. So I've got these pre-drilled holes all down through here, all right? So all I do is just kind of come to this end one and put this hole over where I see that I'm centered on that blue line. So I know I'm in the center of that nose rib. And then I do the same thing. I look at them all. Man, they might be one over a little more than the other. It might just be where your mark is. But if you see they're all lining up pretty much over the center, okay, then you're pretty good. Then clamp it in place. Go back and check it, make sure it's flush against the spar this way, and it's flush with the bottom of the spar at the bottom, okay? So the bottom is flush. Later, we got to drill in here. So once you've done that, just line them up, clamp them in place, and then go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. You start the outboard, and these overlap. And it's no big deal. You don't have to wrap them. You don't need any wing clamps. You don't need nothing. Just lay this one over the top, line the pre-drilled holes here up, and it should line up perfectly with the pre-drilled holes here, okay? And do that, and clamp it into place, here and here, 2 places, again, up against here, and then flush there. And once you've done that, and they're lined up, you'll see if you've got these truly perpendicular, and to the wing, square to the wing spar, then they're gonna line up. I'm telling you, they're pre-drilled perfectly. So do the same thing, line those all up, next one and next one. Then come back, and I don't take the skins, I don't pre-drill them, Cleco them, take them off, deburr them and all that kind of stuff. There's not much to deburr on these. I drill the hole. I start in the center. If this is the first panel, I'll drill one of these first. And now these are thicker skins. The EX3 has a lot thicker aluminum on the leading edge skins, so they don't tin can, on you as much. The EX2s are a thinner material. You have to be careful and make sure you're pressing it out this way. Get it nice and tight where it's not tin canning. Install this one, then go this way. Go work the outside. Same thing here, and work to the outside. So always start in the center, work to the outside. But anyway, just rivet. I rivet the top 2 rows in, and I don't have a clamp on it. I just did that. This one will be just sitting out here hanging like these are. Okay, so just put them in. Go all the way down. You can see just like these are. 2 rows of rivets all the way down. I got one more to put here. Get my 2 rows in. Okay. The next thing is, it's easy to get up into here. And I'll tell you, as you're going along, when you put these and start lining them up, you go to the next one and it's off a little bit. Just reach up underneath there, reach up in there, grab the end of the nose, and move it around a little bit. And once you move it with one hand, if you kind of get it, maybe it's kind of wanting to go this way, pull it with one hand, and then when it's kind of lined up, take your other hand and just push down like this on either side of that rivet hole. What you're doing is you're putting pressure on that nose rib, and it'll stay there with your blue line centered until you get your hole drilled, and then you can rivet and it'll stay in place. If this is square, it's going to line up all the way around, even to the bottom ones, okay? If you've got everything square, it just works perfectly. All right, so again, this is a partial one, and this one's going to go all the way around. So you notice too, what I've done is I've taken my spars and I put them on 2x4s because I raised them up to get them away, to give me clearance to work around my skin. So there's a 2x4 under all 4 corners, and I've still got my 1-inch block on this outside outboard and inside spar. So I still got my 1-inch raise right here. So I got a 2x4 and my 1-inch raise on this one. I keep there. Very important, because now is when you're going to really lock it in. When you put these leading edge skins in, when this wing locks, okay, everything locks in with the skins. So anyway, that gives you room so you can bring the skins around, okay? So the next thing I do, I got my 2 rows of rivets. Then just simply take this, and I pick this end of the wing up, because I got the sawhorse here. And I don't build on a rotator. I build my wings all the way through, cover and everything. I don't put wings on a rotator until I go to paint. But anyway, take it, pick the end of the wing up, and then just wrap this around the back side, and then just let it sit on the sawhorse, and it'll hold it in place, okay? And then what I do first is I get up underneath there, and I kind of look, and I see where my ribs are and my lines in relation to my rivet holes right now, and see how those nose ribs look, okay? And so I do that first, and if there's anything major that I can reach up there before, if you If you put this clamp on, you tighten it down, you won't move those nose ribs, okay? Boy, this thing goes up there and just locks that skin. It's just like putting your hand over it and holding it. It's hard to move. So making a little adjustments you need to do now before you go to clamping. So before I put this clamp on loosely, as I have now, the first thing I did was go up underneath her and I just held my hand and pushed it up. I'll show you. I just got underneath here and I just pushed it up with my hand. You see my mark? You see my mark on that nose rib? You see my rivet holes? When I push it up there, look at that. It's gonna be almost perfect, you know. And on the end here's easy, you can move it around a little bit if you need to. Same thing here, I can see everything looks good there. I can look at this one, say, okay, that one's looking good. Look at that one, it's looking good. And so on down the line. Look at every one of these nose ribs, the bottoms. And if they look pretty good, then I go ahead and I'll put one clamp on. And I just did it, you can see it's just loose, it's not tight yet. I just get it up so I can get it closer, so I can get it closer, so kind of hold it in place, I can get a closer look at how we're lining up. And we're looking good, okay? So now all I'm gonna do, now that it looks good, is I'm just gonna go back now, and I'm gonna put a clamp over here. I'm gonna put it, I do it next to the ones that are connected to the center ribs. They're a little stronger. So I'll put a clamp on this side. Now remember, move your clamp over enough because you gotta have enough room. You don't want it over your holes in the bottom where you're gonna have to drill and rivet. So move them over to the side. I'll put one here, and I'll put one here. Here, I'll put one here, and I'm gonna put another one over here. And these are all riveted together again. Remember these top two. So you can put one on this side of the skin right now and pull it tight and do it. Obviously these should line up, you know, as well when you do it, but I don't fool with this skin now. I'm gonna put these clamps on. Now that I know everything lines up, I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4 clamps on here. I'll bring them up tight, and all I do is put my belly on it, push it up like that, see? Then pull the board in and then spin the wing nuts. Now I do not use pliers or any kind of force at all. I make sure it's square to the wing leading edge, like that. And just look, as you start doing it, just bring that gap, will go right up to where it'll close, okay? If you got a gap on this side and not a gap on this side, then you're not square. You need to move it over a little bit. So just give it a little bump with your hand. So as you keep pushing in with your belly, holding the pressure up there, push that back in, do your wing nuts until you got it up nice and flush. It isn't hard, and again, don't force it with pliers or anything. Just push it up there and hand tighten it, and that will really lock it in. Okay, get it up tight, do them all, drill and rivet, take them off, come back down, do the same thing to these. These are kind of harder, and the reason is that these are gonna wrap all the way around and go back on the bottom of the spar just like the top does here. It'll wrap back around to the bottom of the spar and come up here, and we'll end up drilling those into them. But the good thing is I do the same thing. Go underneath there, bend this around while you're down there looking, bring it up, push it up to where you can see if your ribs are lining up pretty good. It looks good. Go again to the center. I put one loosely on there like that one, just to hold it in place, and then I can look closer, you know, it'll help hold it up there. So then I can push these up and look a little closer, make sure and before I wrap that thing completely around and clamp it in, if there is a rib that's out a little bit, then you can just pull it loose and go up in there and move it around with your hand, okay? So move it with your hand, get it to where it's in place, and get it right before you go to pushing it with the clamps again, okay? When you go back to get ready to clamp this, and of course I'll move this clamp that was here, I'll move it back over to this side where I'm getting, you know, this edge tight back up underneath there. And the EX3, like I say, it's a lot thicker, so it's pretty easy to do. And it's the same thing, just work your way all the way down, and that's it. It's not as hard as it seems. But I just thought I'd come on first and just show you how to really set this thing up. And I think, like I said, I think people were just maybe overthinking or overlooking at it. That's as simple as it is. These holes are pre-drilled and they're perfect. If something doesn't line up, it's not square because you don't have it set right. If you're setting it up here and this thing is square up against the face of this spar, and you line up these holes and your nose ribs are square, you know, with the wing at a 90-degree angle, perpendicular to it, then they will all line up all the way around. And like I said, sometimes I take a minor adjustment. And again, one of the things I do, I think I show you later, but I take one of the other videos, I take one of these picks, and you can actually go in the hole. I can go down this hole I haven't drilled yet. And go down to this hole right here now, and I can see that the blue line is over there a little bit. So I know it needs to come that way. I can take it and I can grab it with this pick usually and see how I push that over. You can kind of push it over. Now this one would be easy to do really, because all I do is pull it like that over, see, to where that blue line, see it's over there, and I pull it and it goes over to here. I can then put my hand here and hold it until I drill it and put a rivet in it. But in any case, that's one of the things you can use if you're on an underneath hole. It's just to need a little bit of tweaking. Sometimes you can tweak it, but once you get those clamps on and clamp down, it's almost impossible to move those ribs. You may have to loosen them up. So that's why I do it progressively as I go. Before I go any further, clamping those clamps down too much, I try to make sure I got it all right. So anyhow, thought that'll help.